If you like this video, please hit the like button.
Hello and welcome out to this week's episode of the Gamers Council. I'm your host, WEBDAVE, along with my buddy, Hargeet Chani. What's up, Hargeet? How are you doing, man?
All right. How are you?
Yeah. Oh, ready to talk some gaming, man. And I know you are too. So looking forward to it. Plus, we have, oh, man, I love it when this guy comes on. That's right. One bad mother. OMB. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Mr. WEBDAVE? Happy Monday Eve.
Perfect. I like it. I like it. How you doing, man? Doing all right?
Yeah, man. Good. Looking forward to catching up with you guys. It's always a good time. And with a good way to kind of unwind before the work grind starts in, a few hours.
Amen. Exactly. Definitely a few hours. And then, of course, the one and only, the man who is fighting storms right now as we speak, John Wolf. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, WebDave? Thank you so much for the invite, man. It's been a while since we've been on a show together. Looking forward to it. And Hargeet as well, OBM. Always love everyone's opinions and conversations they bring on these shows, on our DMs and everything. I learned a lot from you guys, just going back and forth. And look forward to tonight, man. You got some good topics I can see here.
Well, we'll see. Plus, we can always go a little random, a little crazy, and all that kind of good stuff too. And look, Special Nick is in the chat.
Oh,
hello,
shit.
Nick.
Special
What's going on, buddy? Yeah, let's see. Def Leppard, Abdel, RSJ fan. Oh my gosh, so many great ones. Did I say Def Leppard? Because there he is. There we go. E Ranks. My goodness. So many more. Timmy's in there, and Why So Serious is in there as well. But yeah, let's welcome everybody. Doggy Dog, what's up? All right, cool. Anyway, appreciate you guys being here. More and more people are going to be hopefully piling in, and like I said, one of these days, Special Nick will have a maybe a day off from work, and maybe he can join us. But right now, I'm sure he's working and just lurking.
Yes. Speaking of Mondays, like I think his has already began, right? Like it's already
it's never going to get to work.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm looking forward to
that. I have a feeling his bosses probably don't watch this channel, so I think he's safe. You never know. I'm just kidding. Oh goodness. Right, so let's start at the top there. One bad mother.
Yes, sir.
William. Let's see. What have you been playing? What have you been watching? What's going on with you in gaming? Or movies?
Yeah, so right now, just first of all, number one thing I've been playing is work. It's been busy last few weeks, but I've been able to get in a little bit of the NCAA football. It's nice to get that return. I think we've almost got all the big 360 games that kind of took a break back in rotation, so really nice to have that going on. Also recently, for whatever reason, decided to give Modern Warfare's campaign a shot. That I've owned that game since that thing released, but I had a few friends that tried it out recently because it was on Game Pass, and they said, "Oh, this is actually not that bad." I'm like, "Really?" So I had to check it out for myself, and it really wasn't horrible. It wasn't like a classic, but I actually had some fun with it, so that was kind of interesting. And other than that, I still Path of the Goddess gave that one a shot as well. So just early in that, and we'll see. Probably won't be adding a whole lot more to the rotation in the next few weeks. And outside of that, just I saw Deadpool. I think everybody has probably seen Deadpool by now, so that was decent. I'm not a gigantic Marvel fan, so I'm not gonna glow about it the way like a lot of people have. It was
Boo this
entertaining.
man. Boo this man.
Yeah, it was entertaining. It was probably the most entertaining Marvel movie since the conclusion of the last. What do you call those things? The last whole act or whatever you call that. So anyways, I watched that, and right now watching Three Body Project, or was it Three Body Project on Netflix? So that's been pretty decent. Just started that, and that covers me, man. And after that, it'd be just back to work.
There you go. There you go. John, did you hit the wrong button and back yourself out, or did you have a little glitch, or?
Yeah, I think I did actually, but I'm back.
You know what? It is
healed just like Deadpool Wolverine.
too much machismo.
Latino. There you go. Damn, I haven't. That's a goodie, man. That's a goodie right there. But yeah, same. If it's the same question for me, WebDave. Same game as OBM. Work. The microtransactions never end for some reason. but other than that, I've been for anyone that knows or doesn't know, I co-host a show every Monday with TKO Asante. We do the Gamers Playground Mondays at 7, and we talk about PC, handhelds, and all that good stuff. And I've been messing around with the ROG Ally X that just recently released. Just playing actually through Ninja Gaiden Sigma. And I want to play through kind of the Ninja Gaiden Sigma collection, because I used to play Ninja Gaiden Black a lot on the OG Xbox. That's like the original Souls game for me. All right, and try beating that, okay, and come back to me and tell me about these Souls games, because there's some bosses in the original Ninja Gaiden that were impossible to beat. All right, and then other than that, just like OBM, also I'll piggyback off of I also watched Deadpool Wolverine for a second time last night. Went with my my cousin and it was a great time, man. I've grown up watching, reading comics my whole life. I'm a Marvel head, so just seeing the Easter eggs and the homage to all the older movies. I'll leave it there, so no spoilers are thrown out there. But they did a really good job in the fact that they for true diehard fans, there's a lot of Easter eggs in that movie. For fans of the MCU, there's a lot of Easter eggs in that movie, and they're setting. I can kind of see where this is going. So I've been kind of poking Kay Asante almost every day, telling him, "Hey, when are we gonna do an On the Real episode?" Okay, because we gotta talk about the state of the MCU. Because I'm ready to talk. Because before Deadpool Wolverine, I tapped out. The movie quality was getting worse for me. And the shows, it was just a downhill spiral. I think that this is a return to form, and I hope that the trajectory is up from now. But enough of that negative talk. It's all positive, man. And other than that, just chilling, man. Looking forward to our chat tonight.
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad that you're here, dude. And I know you're braving some storms, so thank you for putting up with that.
Yeah, no problem.
By the way, a few people corrected me. It was Three Body Problem is the show I've been watching. I swear to God, I don't know if it's because I'm getting up there now in age, or it's just so much work. Like my words are getting a little scrambled. I'm getting a little blue screen of death going on right now. It's just trying to juggle too many things.
Is that what it is?
Once, yeah. I have no idea what I'm watching and no idea what I'm playing. So
Well, don't feel bad. OBM, because when you right after I said your name on the first introduction, if you play it back, I said OMB instead of OBM, because
I didn't even catch it because
well, at least you called me John Wolf this time and not John Fox.
I did. I've called him John Fox before. That was a rough night, man. I was a little distressed that night.
That was okay.
We'll just keep making up. We'll just keep making ad-libbing as we go. If we forget
exactly. So it's all good, but you can't mistake this guy. I'm telling you right now, we have the one and only Hargeet Chani. Hargeet, buddy, what have you been watching? What have you been playing? What's up?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't watch stuff. I've actually the only thing related to movies, I actually am like ripping my entire catalog onto a hard drive so we can have it over the network.
Nice.
Which is taking time, but whatever, it is what it is. So, yeah, I don't know. I've kind of given up on watching stuff. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Playing stuff. I did start Modern Warfare 3, but it feels like it's a continuation of 2, and I haven't played the campaign for 2 because I was waiting until it comes to Game Pass. So,
gotcha.
So I'll wait till 2 comes out and play that, and then go to 3. But it was fun so far. I don't know. I did like the first mission. It was good. Whatever. So I don't know. I don't know why it was piled on so badly, but maybe I'll find out later on that it really does suck, and it's really worth a 40 or whatever the heck it is. It is on Meta. It's like 50 or something like that.
Yeah, I was expecting a complete and total train wreck, based on the comments. And I guess, to be fair, I'm not like a Call of Duty campaign stan. Like generally I get bored of them because they're very just corridor shooters, go point A to point B. Here's a set piece, go to the next thing, hit a button, shoot the same things in a room. Like that whole thing. Usually I get kind of bored with that sort of gameplay loop and with anything. But where I do like my shooters is when they feel a little bit more dynamic, which is why I love Halo's campaigns. And what I liked I like conceptually what they tried to do in the last one. I think I understand what people are criticizing for in terms of some of the execution. It's not like super consistent in terms of like some of the levels I think can be a little confusing or frustrating initially. But once I kind of figured out what I was supposed to do and everything like that, I actually enjoy, especially if you challenge yourself a little bit. It forces you to pick up different items, try different strategies and some of those open levels. And so I like it conceptually, and because it's dynamic, it actually kept my attention more than some of the better games in that series. So that's just for me, though. I think that people should give it a shot on Game Pass if they like, if they like shooters, because the gunplay is still pretty good, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. What the heck, right? I mean, it is a large download. It's pretty,
for sure.
Pretty large game. I don't know why it takes that one, but whatever. It is what it is. Outside of that, I tried a couple of Game Pass games. Didn't really care for them. I went through a bit of Flintlock and got kind of bored of it. So I don't know. I finished Dungeons of Hinterberg. That was fun. And then played a little Moving Out 2, and I'm like, whatever. And now I'm playing a game. I think I bought this one last store. It was like $1 or $2. I'm like, whatever. I'll buy that. I'm playing that. It's just a little point and click adventure game.
Now, was there anything, I guess, leaving Game Pass that you're like, I have to jump on to finish off?
The ones that are leaving, that I don't know if have they published the list yet. I haven't seen the one for August 15. But yeah, so usually I try to find the ones that are leaving and try to finish them up. So the last one, I didn't have anything that was leaving that I hadn't already played or finished. So I'm just waiting for the new list to find out what I need to like really go into and try to finish up.
Zach's got a question for you it's on the screen.
I haven't started that one yet. That's going to be another one I try to pick up. But that one just came in, so I wanted to kind of go through some back catalog stuff. I literally had 140 games, and I'm like, I want to kind of clear some of this out. So I'm going to look at ones that I'm like, maybe I won't like this. Let me go play that and see if I really don't like this, and I could just delete it.
Game Pass marathon, I like that.
Yeah, I've let that whole thing go, Hargeet. Basically, I've got to the point in my life where it's like, I know, like, out of every 10 things that are interesting, I'm gonna have to pick one and stick with it. That's like,
and you're lucky if you get to play that one sometimes.
Right.
Exactly what you're saying.
Oh goodness! Hey, look, it's the Xbox era. It's like a big family reunion here. I like it. Oh goodness. All right, well, cool. Well, guys, I guess let's pop the neck. Let's get ready. Let's get into it. Okay, so we have a lot of topics that we can go through. We can bounce around and we can go all over the place and we can get messy. I'm just gonna throw the topic list up there and see where does anybody want to start tonight? Because I know there's a lot of stuff, and I got a few things we'll pull up, things that were sent that we'll definitely get to throughout the day and the night, I should say. What's up, Masshole? And I just gotta say that, So yeah. So any particular topic jump out at that you guys One Bad Mother, anything jump out that you want to start on first?
Well, yeah, I think we should definitely talk about the death of Xbox again.
Okay, and remove. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I was just kidding. That was funny though. Whee. All right, if you play musical boxes to get everybody back in.
Another week, another death of Xbox, right?
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
and in a few weeks it'll be we so back again, right? Like the meme that just keeps.
No, that only
keeps
lasts for
evolving.
24 hours. Then it's
Oh,
death of
okay.
Xbox.
Yeah. Okay.
They're only
Yeah.
allowed to have 24 hours of fun. Then it's back to the doom and gloom.
All right. So I guess gosh, let's let's start off with then well, all right. So Avowed getting delayed. Let's talk about that. Cause and I'll just throw my 2 cents in real quick and then you guys can run rampant. But I'll just say that so what? It's not like it's not coming. And
Wait, you mean this isn't the end of Xbox?
it's not the end of Xbox.
No, that's the next topic, Hargeet. Wait.
Yeah, we're on that. That's the next topic. The end of Xbox. But
Xbox has no games? What?
Exactly. I gotta make sure this comment real quick because it's the thing. If you say Paris's name enough times, he starts showing up and lurking. So Paris Lilly. Just kidding. We love Paris. He's always welcome to jump in and chime in anytime he wants. So there we go. But yeah, so Avowed. I guess One Bad Mother. Let's get your thoughts on Avowed.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, not that I tweet a lot, so I don't expect anybody really to follow me. But I said a few months ago that that was one of the games I was actually hoping would get a delay, and there's a few reasons on it. I think some of the obvious is obviously the log jam and the fact that Microsoft needs to spread games out, and the fact that I think Obsidian is a much better developer than they get credit for from the mainstream. I think giving them a little bit of a runway, giving them some space is going to be good for them, especially when you have, this fall we're going to have big RPGs with Dragon Age and the Shattered Space DLC. Those are going to overshadow it significantly. On Game Pass, for Game Pass users, you're going to have Call of Duty on there the first time. You're going to have Stalker 2, which is a time sink. And then even in the premium, paid games, you got some big time sinks with the Ubisoft coming out with a few big games. And so this fall is it would just and then you got Indiana Jones, right? That's also on Game Pass. So like all these things are going to push Avowed to the bottom of the mindshare list, and something like that's especially a new IP for most people. I know it's based off the Pillars of Eternity universe, but that's not really well known, especially amongst the console base. But even on PC, it's more of a niche genre. So this is really the first time they're bringing that universe to the mainstream. I think that if you want to give it the best chance, it makes a lot of sense to put it out earlier in the year. Hopefully there won't be a lot of delays or things kind of fighting for attention at that time as well. We don't know that at this time, but we do know that this fall would have just got lost. Additionally, though, I think another reason why it makes sense, and I know MVG kind of mentioned something on a podcast today about, like they're still working through issues and stuff. From everything I understand from UE5, UE5 has had recent upgrades. And one of the promises they made to developers was that, hey, you can upgrade from UE4 to UE5. It's going to be a seamless, smooth transition. And it hasn't really been. And that's the reason why you haven't seen a lot of UE5 games. In fact, we've hardly seen any, right? Outside of like Hellblade 2, there's not been a lot of UE5 games that have come out yet because the transition has been a little bit buggy. Epic has been behind in terms of all the features that they promised delivering. And so this game, Pillars of Eternity, or I'm sorry, Avowed, actually made the transition from UE4 to UE5, over the last year or so. And Obsidian or Coalition has been helping them in terms of getting everything kind of moved over, getting things up to speed. And that's one of the reasons we saw a nice improvement from what we saw last year to this year. and I'm expecting some more improvement because from what I understand, the UE 5.3 and 4 versions, which I think right now they are on the 5.3, but both of those most recent versions they put out there, not only do they come with a bunch of new bells and whistles that potentially Obsidian could take advantage of when it comes to animations and things like that. And I don't know if they're doing any of that, but I do know that if nothing else, it gives them a lot of performance gain. So I think that they're taking that time, making sure they're able to leverage all that stuff. It's just like multiple things, right? It's not just one thing. Maybe they could have got it out this year and it could have still been polished and they could have, done all that. But what's the point in breaking your neck just to get lost in the shuffle? It makes the most sense right now for that studio, who's really their number one issue, throughout their entire existence has been, usually it's been polish. Like their games usually are some of the best written. They make really good RPGs. They've covered all types of like subgenres of RPGs, and they've been able to execute every single time. But generally, if there's one thing that they get penalized for over and over again, it's been polish. It's been lack of production values, or things have been a little bit buggy, things like that. So I think this giving them that time, especially getting that support from Coalition, is going to help that game hopefully be one of the more polished games that they release, just like BGS released one of their most polished games, right? And hopefully take them to the next level. Because the one thing I don't have any lack of confidence in is that studio's ability to write good characters and story and give you really good choice and consequence, things like that. They have a lot of the same talent that's been there, recently. So there's no reason to expect them to take a step back in those areas. It's all about right now making sure you can polish things up and get those production values. So overall, it's just, to me, this was great news. This is what I was hoping this was the game that got pushed back. It seemed to make sense that they should, and so it's a good call, and hopefully when this does come out, they will have that clear landing and finally have a game that's going to be polished enough that it, and also since it's going to be day one on Game Pass, and Game Pass is bigger than it was back when Outer Worlds released, this will help them hopefully maybe take a next step and get a little bit more mainstream attention, get out of just being a sort of studio that only a niche really values. So yeah, that's kind of thoughts in a nutshell.
Very cool. Very cool. And I mean, like I said, does it suck? Yeah.
Not really.
But is it but I mean if you're really excited to play that was a big game you're looking forward to,
yeah,
maybe, but as far as is it the end of the world? I don't think so. I don't think so. John Wolf, what are your thoughts there, sir?
Yes, sir. Okay, so let's take this conversation in several directions here.
Oh, it's going dark. Watch
Uh-oh.
out.
Yeah, it's going dark. Okay, so we've had some preliminary conversations, kind of when this rumor came out, and this is kind of what I summarized from everybody's thoughts that kind of I've been going back and forth with. On one hand, it's good. It shows that Xbox is learning. And what I mean by that is that in prior years, we've seen them release things like Redfall, because they've been in positions that have not been favorable to them. So they've kind of been kind of in these positions where they're like, oh man, we have to put something out, or else we're going to be toast here. We made promises, and here's Redfall that had to be kind of a sacrificial lamb, right? Because everybody knows that game was released way before it had any reason to be, and ultimately it led to the failure of that franchise, and ultimately the closure of that studio, right? So I think that when you take a look at it from that perspective, it's good. They're learning. That means that whatever they're seeing with Avowed, they're listening to the team. They're focus testing. They're doing their internal stuff. They need more time to cook. And we as gamers, it sucks, because anytime that you're excited for a product or a game or something, you're like, man, that delays stink. Even though they've become normal, commonplace today, every single time that you see one of those little Twitter post with writing in it from a studio, you already know that here comes some bad news about a delay, and you just roll your eyes. You're like, why? What's going on with these studios? Why are these games so hard to develop? You know why? And then the problem is that we need to we don't know what's happening in the back end, so we start speculating, and then that leads to conversations of does Xbox first party have a problem? There was some of that discussion amongst the peers that I was speaking to, and they did bring up a good point here, and it's not to make something big out of nothing. This is actually good, in my opinion. Them delaying this game shows that they learned. It shows that they're learning. But when you take a look at the calendar, you're right. As a Game Pass subscriber, I believe that they have delivered value. I believe that they have delivered on the promise of giving you a catalog of rotating games to be able to play every single month. There seems to always be something fresh for players to get their money's worth and to play if you're subscribed to Game Pass, right? But the promise of first party is something that some gamers are kind of holding against them. And when you take a look at the body of work for the year, you do have them releasing Hellblade 2, which released, and it got favorable reviews, and it was a really polished game, and nothing but positives. I heard, I heard some negative stuff, but it doesn't count because it really wasn't. But overall, very positive reaction to it. That released, I believe it was in May, if I'm not mistaken, right? And the one of the key things that I keep on hearing, that the biggest concern is, right, is that these other games that are promised don't have dates on them. Now, I do know that we have Gamescom coming. That can all change. That conversation can change from when we're having it now to Gamescom. But I think that some of that has a little bit of a couple in the community kind of concerned, because they're like, wait a minute, if they delayed Avowed, are they going to also delay Indiana Jones? Are they also going to delay Shattered Space, the DLC, Towerborn? That's coming in as a beta, not really as a final product, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the conversation starts going, people start wondering what's going on because of the lack of dates. But again, to go back to the point, I think ultimately, for me personally, now I'm going to take it for me personally, there's so much to play that I really it's okay with me. And that's the thing. Everybody, like, these conversations, whenever we have them, we have to have them in different different buckets, right? You got to put this conversation into different this category, into different categories. It's what it means to you as a gamer, what it means to Xbox as a business, and what it means to the greater gaming space, right? For me as a gamer, I have so much to play and so much. I've been doing nothing but emulation, so I'm gonna be okay. I want that team to release the best possible product so that team can keep on releasing games and not be shut down or anything like that. I just want their success, right? So ultimately, I think it's a good thing. And then at the end, also, when I did see the showcase, the preview showcase in January, I did think to myself, and I believe that I spoke to someone on a show, because I remember saying this, that the combat looked a little, it didn't look complete to me. Okay, and that's something that I have heard repeated a lot. I've heard that throughout through various shows. I've heard that numerous times, that the combat, everything about the game looks solid, right? But some of the animations looked a little stiff, and then the combat wasn't. It didn't look like it had that. And I think that hopefully now, with this extra time that they have, they can put a little bit more polish on it, and by the time that they do release the game next year, we can have something special in our hands. So ultimately, I think it's a good thing. Is the world over? Is the sky falling? No, but but there is also something to be said, and something to be understood by those that may be frustrated by this, where there are dates that are lacking on other projects, and also that we're not in that perfect world where everybody dreamed, where Xbox said that we would be getting something first party in every quarter. But I do think as time progresses, we'll eventually get there. And so that's what I think about that.
And Wolf, to one of your points, because actually, I think in an interview, and also Windows Central covered it, actually earlier this month, they talked to one of the devs, and they said that was one of the things they've been working on, is the combat, and making sure that they had more of a visceral, like, immediate feedback. So like, and it has like, more blood impacts and more VFX feedback and all that stuff. So like that is an area. And I think to your point, like those little things, or that seem like little things, can go a long ways in terms of making somebody feel like this is polished, this is more immersive. Right. So,
Right.
Just
There
back
you go.
that up.
I see the article from Xbox. It's so many games coming. As such, we're moving Avowed to February the 18th, 2025. Give players backlog some breathing room. That's
That's
their
some PR spin if I've ever
official
seen, but it's good though. It works. It works.
Exactly. And
Yeah, that's the right way to do it.
so, but so Hargeet, what are your thoughts on this and the where things are falling now?
Well, I mean, we should all expect that this is the end of Xbox.
What was that? Oh man.
Oh, taps. There we go.
Lieutenant Dan
Anyway,
coming
look.
on the show.
Look, I expected something to move. There's just too much stuff coming out at the same time. This is kind of one of their problems they've run into. They do everything in the latter half of the year. That's just not cool. And like, this is a good thing in the fact that you actually have something coming out in February that's kind of a big game. That's awesome. So you don't have to freaking wait and 6 months before a game comes out. So in a way, that's cool. But releasing that many things all in the same time frame is like, so September, October, November, it was just packed, along with like the massive release of Call of Duty. There was just too much here. By the way, there was 47 things listed in their post, but 50 games to be announced. So there's 3 things we don't know about that are going to be at Gamescom.
Nice.
And some of those might be coming this year. Just saying, right? So you have even more. And the thing that isn't in here is Stalker, which moved. It was supposed to be September 5. It now is November 16, I want to say. And the tentative date for Avowed was 13th. And you can't have both of them come out. It's just like they already have too many things. Then having 2 of them right next to each other, just on top of that, you have Flight Sim. I think was it the 19th, something like that. It's like right there. Like you just can't keep pushing things at the same exact time. So something had to give. I'm hoping Indie is like a late October, release, or late October, early October, late September release. So let's hope that's where that kind of lands. Because otherwise it's going to run into trouble like this too. So we have to kind of figure out where that would fit. I'm assuming we find all this out in at Gamescom, right? That these are all the release dates for the remaining things: Shattered Space, Tower Worn, Indie.
Didn't Tom Warren like hint it was December for Indiana Jones?
Well, there's been rumors of it being there. This might open it up to being something else. I hate the idea of December. I think it's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea to put that in December. It's a dead time, and like it also just immediately takes it out of the contention for Game of the Year. It's just done at that point.
Yeah,
there's just no reason to do that. So like, let's see what they do with it. If it needs to come out in December, then move it to January. I think it's just better to move it to January, because you at least have a chance at that point. You put it in December, you might as well just shoot it in the head. It's not gonna like get nominated for anything. It's just gonna nobody puts their games out in Avatar was the last game that came out in December. What happened to that game? Like and then before that was Halo. Of all things, they put out Halo. It won player choice because freaking multiplayer beta came out before, and then had nothing. And it didn't get chosen for anything. This is like a mid to high 80s game, and it got nothing. And that's what you do when you decide to put something in December. It's just you might as well shoot it. And this is a chance for them. It's an actual IP from Disney. It has movie cinematic stuff, so it's got that chance, right? You'd kill it. You'd kill the potential for it to shine if you put it in December. That's just a stupid idea. Towerborn's fine in December. Why would you do that? Why would you put Indiana Jones out in December? But anyway, that's my theory. I hate it. I hate the idea of December.
I wish there were, it's a thing about the industry. Like, I understand what you're saying because of the game awards and stuff, but it always drives me crazy because isn't everybody, I mean, if for most of the world, most of the US at least, I don't know where the rest of the world is, but when we get around the holidays, people save their PTO and we're off for a couple weeks. That always made like, especially nowadays with digital, with gaming being digital and you not needing to go buy a box copy during Black Friday. I feel like that's an area that the game industry should start to experiment with and try to release some big games in December and see how they do, because especially if you don't have a lot of other releases, launching on top of it, somebody gets a console or, or just wants, gets a gift card or something like that, they can still, add Indiana Jones, around that time of the year. So I think that's also, it's just, everything you're saying is true, Hargeet. Like, it will get ignored for Game of the Words, but I do think that in general, the industry needs to kind of look at that. And generally, I'd like to see Keeley actually move his awards to January. And
he's not going to do that because
which I get, but
part of it, right?
But maybe you just don't.
The marketing, right? The marketing stuff.
Yeah, it's the marketing. It's the
holiday
marketing.
season. Yeah,
I get it.
Exactly.
I get it. It is a marketing show more than anything, but it does feel like a major. It does feel like a major strategy flaw with how consumers are today.
Do you see a lot of movies coming out in December? It's the same thing. It's a dead zone. Like, people just don't do anything in that time.
Well, Hargeet, I will say, and this is and I don't mean to interject your thoughts here. Yeah, I wish. I don't mean to interject your thoughts here, but one of the things that I forgot to mention while I was kind of on my spiel is that when you look at like the potential of with the amount of studios that Xbox currently has under them, right, under their umbrella, and then you look at a company like Nintendo, how successful they've been to literally hold on to things so that when they have down seasons, they can just release things. You would think that, like, hopefully someone is paying attention to that and someone is strategizing in kind of like the same way, where they now have so many games in development that there won't be any dry seasons ever on as a Game Pass customer.
I hope
and
so.
I think that's the dream, right? That is the dream as the Xbox subscriber. Right.
I think that's what Avowed is. They announced it, but they're like, we can just hold this. We don't need to release it, right?
Right. And it helps the game. And it helps polish
exactly.
the game.
It gives them more time. It gives them a spot. Like you were saying, OBM, like, you have other RPGs. Shattered Space is going to be kind of big. You have Dark Veil coming, right? You have other games coming in that genre. Let's move this out of the way and let those games get their time, and then we'll put this out when there isn't anything else massive in that arena, right? We're also missing World of Warcraft is going to release at the end of August. They're going to release their big, was it War Within,
PC.
right? So, I mean, like, they just have to like keep that in mind now, right? Their own games are big, right? They have to keep that in mind. So I think that's a good idea, and you space things out. Maybe you have South of Midnight come out in the spring time frame. So you've got your winter game, you've got Avowed, maybe South of Midnight, then Doom comes in maybe September-ish, and Fable comes in November-ish, right? And then probably have other stuff they haven't talked about, like, there's Clockwork Revolution. We still have to talk about that, right? That's still potentially coming. And then maybe next year is the Forza Horizon release. We still have that potential. There's obviously Call of Duty, right? It just keeps going. So, but I agree, John. Like, essentially, they now need to have that ability to say, we're going to put this in our back pocket and release it. They did that, by the way, with Hi-Fi. They kept it in their back pocket, and then they shadow dropped it. Right.
So I mean, because that's the thing, right? The success to Game Pass is what games are releasing and in what cadence. That's what's going to keep on feeding the beast and growing it. If they have dry spells like they did in 2022 because things were just were in a different situation than they are now, then that's what gets them in trouble.
Well, they need to build that.
By the way, ESO is going to get an expansion update. I don't know if Fallout's coming out yet, but that's coming up. Diablo has an update. On and on. These are all RPGs, right? So you just it's continuous. There's so much stuff going on. So I think it's a good idea. Move it out of the way. That's fine. The doom and gloom of it, I don't understand, but so hopefully nobody has that mindset. It's just moving it out of the way, and it had to be done. Like, you were seeing it as it's like going into the fall. You're like, you can't release all this stuff at the same time. No way.
I didn't see. I didn't see a lot of doom and gloom. The type of conversation that I was seeing that was kind of leading with the negativity was that Xbox still has a first party release cadence problem. That's what I was seeing, and it's the usual suspects. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. That's kind of like the conversation that I was seeing. And the thing is that I'm thinking here, and I'm like, wait a minute, but if the feedback that was given to them in 2022, or I'm sorry, in 2023, was you cannot release Redfall ever again, because that took you many steps backwards. Why would they put themselves in that spot again to release a game that is just not ready? It just doesn't make
Well,
sense.
and to be fair, to be fair to any of the criticisms, one of the things that they've talked about, and they put themselves in, they've put themselves in a position to be held accountable for the fact that they talked openly multiple times about how they want to deliver a big game every quarter, and
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
part of what they sell, have used to try to sell, Game Pass to people. So when they don't do that, yeah, they open themselves up to fair criticism. Now,
Right.
fortunately, I do think they are in a position to avoid that. Like they can finally make good on that, and so the fact that they don't have release dates, because I heard another criticism has been the fact that they're so vague with some of these games. They're saying 2025, or we don't know where Clockwork is or whatever in that on that list. But the thing is, I think they should be a little bit more vague if you're talking about more than 6 months out, right? Because I think they do want to start doing what Nintendo does, and they do want to start giving themselves some flexibility to take a game that could be finished and push it back. Maybe something gets finished earlier and you pull it up. Like don't keep putting yourself, because one of the things they've done really over the last few years, and I think one of the biggest criticisms, is they continue to put themselves. They continue to hurt themselves where they don't need to. Like you don't need to tell people a year and a half, 2 years ago, a year and a half before a game's going to potentially release, give an exact release date, or to have a showcase and say all these games are coming out in 12 months. Like those are self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah,
And I think
I agree.
Going forward, it's just, you're better off just being kind of vaguish about it. I think because they have an easy way to kind of explain that these days. It's like, because of how things can move around a little bit in game development, and because we do want to spread our releases around to make good on our promise of a big game a quarter, we are giving ourselves a little bit more flexibility going forward. So I think that's an easy conversation to have, and one at least the hardcore who actually have these conversations would be able to comprehend. So
yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think this was a good decision. It's good for the studio, but it's also just good from a deployment perspective. Like, as in publishing the game around too many other games, it would just get in the noise. People keep saying, "Hey, it's in Game Pass. It doesn't matter," but it kind of does, because a game after its release kind of loses its buzz, right? So if you release it in a time frame where there's really not much else, it's going to pick up. Pal World came out and had nothing else around it. And suddenly people just said, you know what? Let me just try it. And it took off. Right? It took off. Yep. It had massive sales on Steam as well. And that was because it was in Game Pass and people started playing. It's like, okay, I'm going to pick it up on Steam. I can play with more players on Steam. I'm just going to, it's a cheap enough game and it seems to be fun. Right. So it massively succeeded because there was nothing else around it. And so they have to play that game, right, to make sure. And look, ultimately, Stalker had to be moved, and I'm going to give them a lot of leeway. Stalker, that team,
right?
Like take your time, get it right, whatever, it's fine, right? They've had enough hell. Like let's just let that game come when it comes. So if they needed a couple of more months, fine, whatever. But that does kind of hurt Microsoft's launch lineup. So it's fair, it's fine. It is what it is. As it is, I was thinking there's just way too much coming out this fall. They need to kind of slow it down and move things out. I'm better with that strategy, so that like February you have something, April you have something, June you have something, because they now can do that. They can pretty much do that. And then in between they have all the third-party stuff, but they also, by the way, have the ABK catalog, which they can just keep adding more and more games every couple of months. Right. So you'll just get more and more releases from that. December could be stacked with a couple of Call of Duties. Right, you can say, hey, we just released Black Ops 6. Here's Black Ops, 4 and 5, right? Whatever. So you can just start adding other stuff in there, and they have that opportunity to keep going throughout the years, right? So I think that's what they should do, and then just keep going from there. I'm not totally surprised that something moved. It was either indie or Avowed. So I was hoping it would be Avowed. I'd rather play indie this year. So I'm happy with it being Avowed moving out. So that's cool for me. I like Obsidian. I'm not saying they're bad or anything.
Right.
But it was just I wanted to play indie first. But yeah, so this is fine. I don't see the big deal. But the release cadence thing is mostly just a self-inflicted thing because nobody else is held to that standard. It's just they set that kind of potential. They didn't promise it. They said, we could probably get to about that, cadence of about a game a quarter. They never said that is absolutely what's going to happen, but we just take it as saying that is what's going to happen, right?
I would say though that
it's fair.
Yeah.
And I would say that it's kind of important too for their business model because those
exactly because you're subscribing, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
you need the you need that flywheel, right? Like when you just have these throw everything in the fall, then you have dead periods. You're going to have a lot more. You're going to have a lot more people, think about dropping off than if there's always something that's just 1 or 2 or 3 months, in the near future. So yeah, it's really important. Really, not just because they said that's what they want to do, but I think they said it out loud because they know that's what they need to do if they really want to take the service where they want to take it. So
yep.
And I think they're on track.
Yeah, hopefully they can pull it off, right?
Yeah.
I think this year they missed kind of that first quarter. Maybe you could say Stalker was their plan, but that kind of fell through. But that's not a first party game, but it is an exclusive. And then we're gonna have Hellblade, and then certainly in September they have like 3 games coming out, whatever. Plenty of stuff coming out, and then in the fall they have forget of the big game Call of Duty, and then they have Flight Sim and all these other games, right? So indie and hopefully whatever else the 3
that
games we don't know
Call
about.
of Duty, right?
So yeah, that little game Call of Duty.
It's nothing. Ain't no big deal. But yeah, no. But no, good convo there, guys. Because like I said, in the end, it's still coming, and we have a lot to play. It's not like we're going to be missing out. We have so much great content that's coming. Let me add that back in here real quick. But I mean, just look at all the games that are listed as to what's coming. We have World of Warcraft, we have the Age of Mythology Ara, excuse me. We have the Diablo expansion, Call of Duty, Flight Simulator, Indiana Jones, Shattered Space, Towerborn are all still coming this year. Not to mention 1 or 2 possible surprises that may be coming. And but some of us have heard some rumors about some things that might be mentioned sooner or a little later. But we're just, those are speculation. We're not gonna talk on that. But needless to say that between now and the end of the year, we're gonna be eating pretty good. And Game Pass still has a lot of stuff coming that we just don't know about. And even though some people are saying, Microsoft isn't gonna have a presence at the Tokyo Game Show, I wouldn't put a bet on that. I have a feeling that they are actually going to have a few little announcements that won't necessarily come directly from them, but from some third parties that we've been waiting to hear from. That'll make a really good place for them to announce it would be in, I don't know, say Japan. But let's just we'll just let you stew on that one a little bit.
It's been cloudy all day.
It has. And sometimes you get your fantasies going, and whether they're your final ones or not. But who knows? But what was that? Was that a hint? I don't know. But anyway, just go with that and see what happens there. But like I said, and also a big shout out to Dirt Griggity is in the chat. Dirt. It took my chapters dead. But anyway, we're so glad to see Dirt here. And Sapo's here too. Hey, what's up? So, and don't make her mad, because don't make her angry. You won't like her when she's angry. Anyway, because she does have the power to kick your ass out. Oh, man. But guys, great. We have almost 300 people here already. We have a bunch of people watching us on X and on YouTube. Thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, if you get a chance, I hate to do this, but please hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. If you're a subscriber, you get to talk in a chat. And the only reason I do that is just because helps build this install base, and holds people a little somewhat accountable for what they say, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so yeah, definitely if you get a chance, to subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 3K. So we're hoping to get that. Maybe in the next couple of weeks would be great. And your support, and would greatly appreciate that. And if you don't mind, hit a thumbs up if you're enjoying the episode, or if you hate this episode, you hate the fact that I'm here talking, then you can hit a thumbs down because it still helps us. I mean, what? Anyway, but yeah, Dirt Riggedy, TTS, you mother. I'm just kidding. We love Dirt. Dirt. I have to keep doing it that way because that's the way it is.
Oh no! What happened? What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful. How terrible! Oh no!
Ah, my goodness. Good. Where do you guys want to go next? There's so many good things to talk about. Let's see. One Bad Mother, you sent me some stuff in the DMs. Let me
about the Chinese developer,
yeah. Let's go take a look at those little slanderous comments. I mean, just kidding. Let's see.
I think the moral of the story is before everybody jumps on and puts together a YouTube video about some obscure developer for a company without any sort of confirmation. Just wait, right? Just wait for more information before we all jump on something. But anyways.
Yeah. So make sure is that the one you're talking about? That the article?
Yeah. The whole Phantom Blade Zero comment from a God. Was it basically? I don't even know if I don't even know what position the person was supposedly at within the company.
Right.
But and where the rumor even started, was it a message board or was it like?
I think it was at something, some type of event. No, I saw something Joy or something. I could be wrong on that. I just remember seeing some of it in the morning, and then I kind of got busy throughout the day. But I mean, the gist of it was that they basically kind of said, "Oh, why would we want to release our game on the Xbox ecosystem?" Something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to me, that just the thing that sounds weird about it is, unless Totoki is going to drop you a bag to say something, like, why would you, even if you didn't plan on doing anything right now, like, there's no reason to put yourself up again, like, to put yourself in that position. I don't think it's really ever ever helped the developer to come out in console war. I know a few have tried to do it for attention, but it's never really amounted to anything, right? So so that whole thing kind of just logically didn't make a lot of sense when it came out. Now, I never would, I think it's realistic that within a studio, there's people that work for the company that have opinions about different consoles. I mean, any of us who have any friends that are developers, they have their opinions, right? That doesn't necessarily speak for the company itself, though. And that's one of the issues I usually have with these anonymous sources, because unless you are hearing something from the decision makers, or unless it's coming from somebody high up in the company that's making these decisions, having these conversations, that understands why something is or not prioritized, there's not a whole lot of like those types of things don't have a whole lot of weight. It's like, so what if I'm a worker at my company, for example? I've been at my company over 10 years. My opinion about like somebody else within the industry really doesn't speak for the company I work for, right? Like, it doesn't say anything about who they're going to partner with or what their future strategic decisions would be. So,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but so Special Nick says it was mistranslation. Some people say it was a China Joy event.
There you go.
Let's see, and then what was it? Let's see. Heavily focused Sony brand item. Let's see. I believe it was a mistranslation, misinterpretation.
I mean,
some of the wording.
He also has another note he wants everybody to know as well.
I mean, the only thing that does make sense is if it was mistranslation, because as a business, right? And OBM was kind of uh, going into this, it just doesn't make sense why you would want to put yourself in bad light with a potential um, partner, because if you really think about it, when the sales dry up, right, on with this game and whatever exclusivity kind of window that it's in or whatever, I'm sure that they will take a bag gladly from Xbox to put this game on Game Pass or something like that. So it just, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, Nick kind of he kind of alluded to this, and this is kind of, this is something I've said before too, and I don't really even think this is slanderous or something to be concerned about. It's just
Right.
like, a matter of fact. Like basically, what he was saying is like the audience isn't there right now on the Xbox, and I don't think there's anything wrong with kind of admitting that. We know, I mean, we've seen some of the leaks from like we saw the leaks from Capcom. Like there's smaller games that came to Xbox. I think the Ace Attorney is like maybe up to 13 copies sold right now on Xbox. Like there are certain games that if the audience is just not there, and if you are that segment of gamer that has the preference for the Eastern single player games that don't have the crossover, like we know, like a Resident Evil or Monster Hunters, now become crossed over into the West and has popularity there. But if you are one of these smaller types of games, they just the audience isn't there right now. And the only way I think for Microsoft to fix that is it's not going to be about selling more consoles in Japan, because that's like trying to boil water at this point. I think their only really real shot to make those types of games more viable is to give these developers, drop the bag and put those games in Game Pass, give the Western bro shooter audience that they've cultivated that's still on the console after, all this time, more exposure, maybe increase their appetite. Maybe they'll find out they like these games. We heard Sega say something similar to that, where, when they took that deal and put through all the Yakuzas on Game Pass, it actually helped. Like they felt like it actually helped their opportunities to sell more on the console. So I think that's where the opportunity is. It's really not about trying to convert PlayStation users that buy that stuff, because that is kind of that's sort of a lost cause at this point. It's really more about the existing base that usually didn't buy that stuff. And talking to these Japanese and Chinese developers and Korean developers and all the ones out east about, hey, how can we make these games more appealing to this base that really for years hasn't been buying that stuff and playing that stuff? So I think that's where the conversation goes. So if the developer did say, what Nick was kind of alluding to, I don't think there's anything like necessarily slanderous or I don't think that's really anything super negative. It's just a matter of fact right now, right? So they don't have the base there, and that doesn't eliminate the potential that it will come later. And my guess is that if it does come later, like if it does well on PlayStation, maybe Microsoft does give them some money and bring it to Game Pass, which is what we've seen them do time and time again, right? So
definitely. So John, any thoughts?
No, just to finish up my thoughts so that we can get Hargeet, to give his, because I kind of gave mine already. I think that the mistranslation thing is what makes the most sense here, because I honestly, unless this person is an absolute, dweeb of an employee, if I'm that person's boss and they really did kind of mean it in a kind of slanderous way, we're gonna have to have a conversation, because you're putting kind of our business here at jeopardy, okay, and the success of everyone around you in the studio. So sometimes these things kind of balloon into something that it's not, and it usually, how that saying goes, that once when somebody says something, by the time it gets to like the fifth person, the story's changed quite a little bit, or whatever the case may be. So that's what we might be looking at here. And again, look, with what OBM ended with saying, that it's no secret that these Asian developers and publishers have more incentive to release things on the PlayStation, Nintendo, and PC ecosystem. I don't think that's a secret to anybody. Xbox, their console success primarily comes out of North America, correct? So you would think that that's kind of where a publisher, they know that if they want to kind of hit as many consumers as possible, and their game caters to a Western audience, they need to be on Xbox, where an Eastern developer and publisher knows that they need to cater towards the biggest base of players that they can get, and then maybe they have things planned to be released in waves. Now, if you want to get into the conspiracy of the things, we can go there too, where these things start ballooning also because of some of what has happened. You've had games by Capcom announced not coming for Xbox, and there's been rumors and there's been people saying that this is confirmed, that it's because of MT framework, and so some games have started missing there. You also have Black Myth Wukong, that they need a little bit more time because of the Series S or whatever the rumor is on that. And now you have this game, like what happened here. And there is suggestion that that PlayStation now, especially, and this is all, I'm going into speculation town here, this is just me talking out loud. There's speculation that I've heard that isn't it like weird that now that third party like the Squares of the world have kind of stopped backing PlayStation in that way, because just the gaming landscape, how it is, that now PlayStation might be targeting the smaller new up and coming developers, and maybe their support that they lend to these developers to polish the games to be released on their platform, maybe that comes with a price. Maybe that comes with timed exclusivity of 3 months, 6-month window, something. We don't know the back end deals, right? Because the one thing that we did learn from the whole ABK Xbox thing in the 2 years that it took is that it's a dirty business, because it's business at the end of the day. Each competitor wants to get a leg up on the other company, right? So who knows if maybe PlayStation said, hey, nudge nudge, work, give our platform a little bit more priority. We're going to provide you with support. Just stop working on that Xbox One for a little while, and then get back to it after your stuff is polished. And again, that's just me being messy, but we don't know. So
I don't even think that's that messy, Wolf. I actually think those are the type of like money, quote unquote, money heads. And I don't even know if you want to call it a money head, but those are the type of deals I actually don't have any problem with, especially when you're talking about smaller developers, newer developers, AA developers with new IPs trying to get off the ground. They can use a little bit of the extra marketing push, a little bit of the extra help in getting the thing polished, and getting some feedback. We know Microsoft's working with the Stalker 2 dub, and they don't own that game. They're not, and they're in something similar, right? So those types of things happen, and I think that there's probably a multi-way benefit, and it may actually turn out for that the game is better because of the focus and the help they get in return for just starting it on this platform, or only focusing on this platform for a time. So like that, in Sony, actually there was something that came out a few years back where they said they were actually really going to be focused on some of these other I don't know if it was just Korean or Chinese developers, but they are targeting that in a strategically, because I think that those are less expensive way. They're less expensive opportunities to potentially get some exclusives, potentially carve out a market, which is going to still be hard for Microsoft to get into, because they're out east. So I think that's all just good business. It's not even that slanderous.
No, not at all. And then the thing is that if you think about it, we saw them do it already with Callisto Protocol, where it came out that game was a more polished experience overall, on PlayStation, even having ray tracing features. And if I don't remember off the top of my head, but that happened, and then the Black Myth Wukong thing is happening, and then now this is happening. So it all starts culminating into just this WWE storylines that are what's going on in the backstage. Is like some man controlling it, and but at the end of the day, I feel for someone that they're so invested into the Xbox ecosystem that it bothers them that games miss their platform. I totally get that. But you know, if you're listening to the show and if you're one of us on this panel, you're blessed enough, first of all, to have multiple consoles or PCs or whatever the case may be. So just go where the game is. You know what I'm saying? If you want to play it that bad, and it's gonna come out on PlayStation first, you got a PS5, just play it there. You know, and if not, just give them time to cook for them to bring out that Xbox version eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Hargeet, you're up, buddy. Your thoughts.
Yeah, so first I'm gonna do this and send. All right. So speaking of the game not selling well, enjoy, guys.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so look, this is kind of
14th copy. 14th copy right
yeah,
there.
the 14th copy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hargeet. Very
look,
nice of you to
I
do.
don't know if like this is gonna get fixed anytime soon, unless they do the merge of Windows, right? If they go in and say, look, Xbox is Windows, Windows is Xbox, that just eliminates that problem altogether. And that's gonna be a headache no matter what they do, because the console numbers outside of the US are just abysmal. And if you're a developer in some of these countries, you're not going to see Xbox. You're just not. So that's just kind of the way it is, unless they start pushing. And I don't know that Xbox wants to do that or not. That's on them. They certainly seem to be doing something with Europe with this massive Gamescom push. Does that follow through with, like we heard from the marketing guy, but we don't have the budget that Sony is blessed with? Yeah, well, I mean, there is this multi-trillion-dollar company that could give you a budget. So if they wanted to do the marketing, they could. So hopefully they decide to do that and at least try to tackle a market outside of the US to give, a full budget to say that we exist. Here we are. Here are a whole bunch of games, and you can buy our stuff and our console. Here it is. Oh, you want to play the GTA that's coming up that's going to be next gen only? Here's a console bundle that has GTA in it. It's a Series S for like $250 with the game. They could do that kind of thing. They have to do it though. That's the thing. I don't know if they're going to or not, but that's up to them. And like until they decide to go beyond the US, this is what you get, right? So am I surprised that this happens? No. Right?
Yeah.
But look, again, this is on Xbox to go fix, right? And they could also say, we're also PC, so when you're putting your game here, it's on PC as well, which does not happen if you're exclusively on PlayStation. That is one leg up they do have. But this is just something they're gonna have to work through. If the game comes, like let's say Steam is finally added to, or the Epic Game Store is added to Xbox, well then that solves that problem, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
The game's gonna come to Steam, so. Like you just kind of eventually just win. It doesn't matter, right? So this is just up to them to go fix. So I'm not surprised, but hey, like hopefully the game does eventually come over, right? We'll see.
Yep. And Hargeet, you want to read that real quick?
Oh yeah, thanks at Hargeet Chani. I got it. Cool, Bob.
There you go. So
Enjoy,
congratulations, Bob. There you go. There you go. So that's very nice you do that, by the way. Thank you so much for that. That was awesome. Hargeet is
so another up to 23 copies. That's
that's
a
funny. That's funny.
big addition to the
Capcom is like, yeah, we're definitely bringing out Marvel vs. Capcom now.
And by the way, that's inclusive of Windows, so it's a cross buy. So when you have it on both platforms. So
that's really interesting what you said, Hargeet, because we've known historically how petty kind of PlayStation can be at times. So I do wonder if that future is true, where there is crossover in the PC space and the Xbox ecosystem. Would they dare say, hey, you know what, Epic, Steam, if you detect an Xbox type of hardware, we're not going to allow that game to play on there. Kind of like how they're doing the whole anti thing with Proton and the Steam Deck now. It'd be interesting to see if we ever get there. Hopefully,
Wait, is Microsoft doing that?
No, I think PlayStation is. I think on the Steam Deck, it's because of the
PlayStation.
Proton.
PlayStation does everything consumer unfriendly that you can possibly think of.
Yeah, I just
Phil's not going to do that. Phil's going to be like, "What?
No,
How do I get my game in front
no,
of anybody?"
absolutely,
Oh,
no. What I was saying is that if that future does happen, where you say, and let's say that we have another scenario like this, right? Like Phantom Blade 2, whatever. I'm just throwing that out there.
Mhm.
And then Xbox is able to, an Xbox player does have a handheld that or a box from their TV that can access that game. I wonder if
would I be
PlayStation would be
surprised if
petty
PlayStation does
enough
something that petty?
to say,
Yeah.
hey, Steam, when you sell this copy, if you detect an Xbox handheld or console, please do not, like, they'll be begging, please don't allow them to play because these third-party deals are just.
Well, I mean, they
I
can
think
contractually do that,
Toki's-
and they can strong arm Epic. I don't think they'll easily strong arm Steam, but they could potentially work that. The problem they'll run into is their biggest money makers are from who? Xbox, not PlayStation, right? PlayStation's games make shit on their console.
That's a good point.
It's Xbox games that make money on their console. If they're gonna really strong arm Microsoft, well, good luck. Enjoy.
Well,
that.
you mean on their storefront, not their console? You mean on Steam?
No, I'm talking PlayStation. PlayStation's top paid games.
Oh, I got you now.
Xbox games.
Understood. You are correct. Yep.
That's just a fact, and they're gonna have to deal with that. Like, that's just the way it is. You want to strong arm the people that pay your paycheck? Okay, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's making money.
Enjoy
right?
that.
Everybody can.
Well,
win.
I don't even know if that's going to be Toki's focus. Like everybody, we keep. And,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
don't
been
think it is
interesting
either.
because since and I've been hearing a lot of it with the financials that came out this week, and it's like, I feel like we're still having like Xbox 360 versus PS3 conversations,
Yeah,
or
you're right.
early Xbox One, PS4 conversations where everything is about like pulling things away and winning over customers with exclusives. And I really believe, and I actually think, based on sort of like the hints that Toki's put out there in the last few months, that both companies have kind of accepted that we are entering a new paradigm, and that is no longer really driving new customers anymore.
Yeah, they believe in the Kando way now. Kando.
Yeah, and I think that if now I could be wrong, and we could find. I mean, they did buy Bungie, so they can still make bad decisions. But like, I feel like that based on what Toki's been based on what Toki's been saying, like my belief is that if Microsoft's next device is open and it has Steam on it, and people who are Xbox customers have been Xbox customers for years and are the enthusiasts, right, that generation after generation since the 360 have been just continue to upgrade early, that they decide that they want to buy a PlayStation game through the Steam store, that Sony put their games there so that they can branch out beyond their current base. Like, I don't think Toki is going to put a stop to that, really, because it doesn't really help them anymore. And these are generally, I think, what we're going to find out. I can't really necessarily prove it yet, but I think you're going to kind of find out when this generation ends that we're going to have very similar splits to what we had from the PS4 and the Xbox One. That really what ended up happening throughout the course of this generation is that what happened over the pandemic is everybody who was an enthusiast upgraded as early as they possibly could. On Microsoft's side, because they had a smaller base to begin with, when there were supply shortages, they were able to meet their demands a lot faster to the enthusiast, and so their sales dropped off a lot quicker, because casuals generally don't start upgrading until the big mainstream games are next gen only, and usually that combines with a price drop, and we haven't got the price drop, and we haven't got many of those next gen games. And when we have seen something like like last year with Hogwarts or this year with NCAA football, we have seen some spikes with the casuals, upgrading. And I expect a big one for GTA, but I don't think it's really an exciting conversation anymore. I think it's, really this generation is an extension of last gen. And I think that's what Jez was really trying to talk about on the podcast last week, and I've been seeing him get a lot of flack on Twitter for that, but it's true. We're buying from the same store, right? Like whether you're buying on the OG Xbox VCR that you bought in 2013, or you have the Series X, we're buying through the same exact store. And the way that the investors and the company look at it, those transactions are no different. Like there is no separation to them between a Series X customer and a Xbox One customer, because they are the same customer, right? And they are playing mostly the same games, as we see from the top of the charts, and most of the customers that really do value those single player premium experiences, where we assume that those exclusives move the needle, most of those customers upgrade early, and we've seen that generation after generation. Now is a time for the casuals, and because there's just not a lot driving casuals, we're seeing that's where we're seeing the big drop-offs, right? And when the casuals do upgrade on the Xbox side, they're upgrading to Series S, which is a lot less than the Series X, and that's going to cause a drop-off as well. So I think a lot of the conversation around that's been happening lately is just it's a little bit outdated, but it's going to be hard to kind of prove that, because Microsoft's so limited in terms of what they provide us. But if we believe Satya Nadella, where he says this year they have more active console users than they've ever had at the same time. If we believe Phil, that he came out and he reports to Satya, so the stuff he says matters to investors as well, where he says, hey, we've increased our software sales 10% every year. Like, if you believe those things, then there's really not a console problem that people are talking about. It's just like, okay, they're not, the casuals aren't upgrading as fast as they used to, or like they used to. And it's not, it's no longer, there's not high stakes in that like there used to be when people took
fix. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you need your
no,
fix,
go ahead, man.
Just come on over to the handheld wars, where the ROG Ally X versus your handheld of choice, and you can have your handheld wars if you need the fixing on that.
Yeah,
I mean, we can get into that topic, right? And like the death of Xbox, stupid thing that keeps coming up because of the financials. Look, there needs to be a sustainable level of sales. That's it. The assumption that somehow Xbox needs to beat everybody else to stay in the market is just not true. Does Wendy's outdo like Burger King, McDonald's? No, but does it matter? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. As long as they can sustain their business, they're fine. And Microsoft now owns some of the biggest IPs that just print money. They just print money.
Yep.
They're fine.
And if you think,
you don't have to worry about it.
The lack of sales that they were getting on their own console from not selling it, they're just making it up with PlayStation. As you mentioned, the Call of Duty customer is now their customer. So
yep, and there's this other little minor platform they own called Windows that happens to always be generating money. And your little console wars that you're talking about with the handhelds, what are they running? Oh, they're running what? Windows. So they're just making money either way. They don't care. They're just making money. You sell the game, pay with Game Pass. They don't care. They're fine. That's all they care about. So now if they can get their Game Pass numbers up, that's what they really want. They want their subs up. That's just recurring constant income for them, which is great. Consoles, by the way, hurt them, not help them. They hurt them in financials because they are they're paying you to get the console, right? They're paying you to buy their console, right? So that's just a financial hit to them. They still know that it matters because it creates enthusiasm in the market to have it. So they keep doing it, right? But ultimately, if you're Satya, if you're Amy Hood, you're like, why are we spending money to make people buy our product? Why does that make sense? Well, that's because Sony does that. Okay, well, how long is that going to last? How long is Sony going to keep doing that? Their financials are effed too. So what are they going to keep subsidizing consoles too? I think the ultimate answer is this whole subsidized console thing just goes away. And
it's probably
you end up with right. You end up with Asus, you end up with whatever. They can just make Xbox, consoles because it's ultimately just running Windows.
Or I mean, I'm sorry, OBM. I'll just throw this in.
No, go ahead.
And I'll let you go, brother. Or get into a future where their console or hand or whatever it is that's coming is not subsidized at all. You're buying it at cost, or they can make a profit of it, because that's the Nintendo model as well. Go ahead.
Exactly. Right. And Nintendo just keeps doing that, and nobody bats an eye. And it's like, yeah, why? Why does it have to be the Sony way? right? So
well, and I think
fine.
that's that is the downside for because I know there's people listening that are going, well, wait a second, guys, you guys like we're not just because we get the pushback, like people are concerned because they want the competition, they want the perception of the competition exists because it does drive the prices down. I think that is the one thing you are going to lose, because I think both Microsoft and Sony both realize they're just bringing over the same customers, and even the new customers you're bringing in right now are pretty much black hole game customers who are just going where their friends are, so that ratio is kind of like still staying kind of the same even as you move the new customers in. But I think that is the one downside. Now, the thing that people will say to me is like, well, if you don't keep selling these consoles and you keep having these drop offs, so you're not moving these people over, then it's going to affect you with third party. It's going to affect you with third party support, which the one thing I go back to again, and this is assuming that everything that Satya and Phil has said is true, is that they have more active console users than ever, and their third party, their software sales are higher than they've ever been. And so those two things can both be true, because we are it's no longer starting over every generation. You can potentially have less sales this generation than last and have more active users by the end, and that's exactly what's happening. And I think it's going to be the same thing next generation. I wouldn't be surprised to see the number of next generation consoles drop from this generation, yet both Microsoft and Sony could still potentially grow that base, because you aren't losing those Xbox One and PS4 customers that are still buying microtransactions on Fortnite and buying the new version of Madden and all that other stuff, those black hole or those annualized games, which it doesn't look like these publishers are really eager to pull those old versions when you got so many people over there, right? And
as far as like the move from gen to gen, right? That's been the problem. Like these are PCs now, and there's no reason to go from Xbox One to a Series or a PS4 to 5 unless you have a hard like, no, you can't play this. And a lot of those game companies are going to be like, why would I forego the 100 and whatever 70 million PS4s and Xbox Ones? Why would I do that? Just why wouldn't I just keep it where it is? It works. Fortnite keeps running. Apex keeps running. Call of Duty keeps running. Why would they like stop supporting it? It only makes sense if like the hardware is so ancient that it just isn't capable. But now we're not in that world anymore. And I think like the next gen isn't going to be like, hey, we have to move over here, because these consoles haven't even been used to their full potential yet. So you're gonna see a very slow adoption moving to the next thing. The cool thing that you'll get with the next gen, I think, is the NPU. It's gonna be the AI capabilities. But again, I don't think a lot of these big games are gonna suddenly abandon all these consoles. No, they're gonna keep running. They'll keep on Xbox One and PS4 for as long as possible.
And Hargeet, even PC, and you know this, like if you look at Steam, like the average PC user,
Steam Deck is lower performance,
right? Like the average PC user doesn't have the super cutting edge 49.
They don't need it.
Right. So
exactly.
And I think the final thing to say on that too is like, because the thing that somebody will say is like, well, if you don't get these sales, then you're going to lose more games like Wukong. And the thing I'd argue is most of the people upgrading today, the people that are going to upgrade today, or the people that are going to upgrade when GTA comes out, are probably not your Wukong segment, because those customers those types of games right now appeal to the core gamer, like a lot of us graybeards, people over basically millennials and older, right? Like they're not really selling to the Gen Zs or the Gen Alphas. So like those types of customers that are upgrading now are not really going to increase your support on that sales in those segments. Where Microsoft is going to have to try to increase the sales for those types of games is with their existing customer base, or merge themselves with the PC, which I think is
that's what needs to happen, right? Because then you bring in the Epic and Steam stores. But the major thing you do get is, like they do with Windows, they own the OS. It's Xbox OS, which is just Windows, whatever. Right?
They'll never miss a game again.
But the devices are anybody. Go ahead and make it. Don't care. And that opens it up. And now people think, well, hey, wait a minute. If they're going to do it at profit, then like what's good? There is always the potential that Microsoft says, we're still going to have a variety of partners making our stuff, but we will make one SKU that will be subsidized, right? And it'll be a high performance tier that we will deal with, but it's not going to be a 4090. It's not going to be a 5090. You know what? Our partners, though, they can do that for you.
Mhm.
They can give you a device. If you say, hey, I want an Xbox, runs like an Xbox, looks like an Xbox, plays my Xbox catalog, does everything else, but it has the performance of a 4080, a 4090, a 5080. Sure, a partner can give you that device.
I mean, they
right?
kind of do that. They kind of do that unofficially now. If you think about it, Hargeet, just by the nature that the game comes out on PC Game Pass day one, so they kind of have that, but they haven't marketed it that way. You know what I'm saying?
In a way, you're right, but the thing that's different is it's still Windows, right? It feels
Yeah.
like, because you're still booting into Windows, and they have things like Armory Crate and like different UIs available out there, but it's not as seamless and easy as an Xbox.
Yeah.
Right.
And people want
That's
their
what I'm
whole
saying.
library.
Basically,
Right.
you just boot up, it brings up the Xbox logo, it brings you into the Xbox UI. You never see the Windowsiness of it at all.
That'd
It's
be
just
nice.
Xbox, right?
Yep.
So to you, it's just, hey, I bought a high performance Xbox. I paid $1,200 and I got a 4070 version of the Xbox. Awesomeness. I get more frames. Cool. Would people want to buy that? Sure. Look, you just bought the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. You're just gonna keep buying it, right? There are enthusiasts out there that want that. Right.
Yeah.
And so you can say, I can buy the tier that Xbox sells at $500, or I can pay $1,000 and get something that performs way higher. Same exact experience, same exact everything, except you get high performance.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna move on. It was good topic, great conversation, and I love it. We're just gonna touch base on. Well, first of all, Spartan 661. Thank you for the gifted membership. Appreciate that. And I think you got a shout out from the guy who got it already. So that's awesome. Thank you for the generosity. And yeah. So there is. This was on the thumbnail, so we're just gonna touch base on this real quick. Kind of go over some of the. And then we're going to skip to our big final topic, which will be something about Bungie. What? Alrighty then. But yeah, let's let's touch base on some things that are coming to the show, which is coming up. That is Gamescom, which is this month, which is hard to believe. It's but there's going to be a lot of stuff shown. Let me get the. Let me take that one thing off there. Sorry. There we go. A lot easier to see. I'm going full screen on this. Boom. Yeah. So we're still in the background. Hi guys. But anyway, like Xbox Studios has. Oh my gosh! Look at all the games they got coming there. Age Mythology, Avowed will be shown there.
And if you count it up, it's 47.
47. Look at that.
Right? It said 50 plus.
Oh,
There
so
you
that's why there's stuff there unannounced. That's what you meant by that. Okay.
Yeah. So, but just to to look at all that, there's so many things, and if you notice, there's a lot of those that say hands on. That means they're going to be playable, and if you're there, lucky enough, you'll be able to actually get your hands on these and actually try them out. You know, like Little Nightmares 3. I'd love to
Listen,
get in there.
I don't know
try
what
that.
I haven't seen anything about this game, but I'm gonna look it up right now. Squirrel with a gun? Are you kidding me? Squirrel with a gun.
That
I
actually
need
looks
to
pretty
see
good.
what
I've
this
seen the
is.
trailer on that. That looks pretty good. And Space Marines too. The more I see of that, the more I want to play that, man.
Oh yeah, that looks really good.
It does. It does look pretty awesome. So yeah. So basically, Gamescom is gonna be big. I know it was actually part of the thumbnail, and but we're gonna. Trust me, on the next couple of weeks, and as it gets closer, and of course, when actual Gamescom gets here, we're going to be covering all kinds of stuff about that. But just to know, there's going to be a big presence. Is kind of cool. So I'm pretty excited for that, and I know all of us here are pretty excited for that. But everybody's like, well, what's going on?
Well, Dave, let me get a cheap plug there for my co-host Kayasante.
Yes,
he's
go
actually
ahead.
going to be attending Gamescom, and
Nice.
he's going to hopefully get a lot of hands-on time with a lot of these games. So look out for the Gaming Circle podcast as well as the channel there, because he's probably going to be doing a lot of uploading.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So good. Kay Asante, we love Kay. He's awesome. And you guys do a great show on Mondays. And then he also has the Gaming Circle podcast on Saturday mornings. Always watch that religiously. So yeah. So exciting stuff with Kay's channel and you too, John. So let's see. I'm gonna add this to the stage. Oh my goodness! I asked Gaz. I said, "Gaz, can I play this little clip that you put together?" And he said, "Sure, go right ahead." So we're gonna play this little clip to just kind of get us into our kind of our big final topic for the night because it's too funny. I think he did a pretty good job putting this together. So this is from Gaz, but it kind of lets us know where things are heading.
It is clear that Microsoft needs oversight engagement. I can't help but think that Microsoft needs a Bungie.
Ah, delusion and noise. The weapons of the mindless mouthpieces relentlessly postulate with their selective amnesia as the truth stares at them in the face, so quick to dole out their fake concern when it's all things Microsoft, huh?
It's a bloodbath.
Hard-earned billions get flushed down the toilet. $1.2 billion spent to retain staff in a $3 billion purchase that looks like one very expensive mistake. The irony compounded by the fact that this very studio is responsible for killing a much-awaited IP.
Oh! Wow. The Last of Us factions just got canceled.
Are you serious? Who signed this deal? I mean, obviously Bungie signed this deal, but okay, hold up. This explains everything. This explains exactly why there are so many things inside of Destiny that are trying to over monetize.
Bungie applies the squeeze on its consumers in a bid to survive, and PlayStation slithers around ready to devour.
Your soul is mine.
Profit margins dwindle. They shut down entire studios, cancel multiple games and projects, declare that the console is not enough. But don't worry, everything is okay.
I thought Gaz did a pretty damn good job of that video, and like I said, I wanted to kind of share it out there. Shout out to Gaz and the Septic Sauce for putting out a lot of good information and a lot of good. He's definitely turned things up a notch. Don't you think, Hargeet, that he's kind of unleashed the beast, as it were?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to keep Game on Daily a bit more like professional, and like with that being gone, it's like, yeah, now you can just go full bore. Be septic.
Exactly. And like I said, I thought it was pretty good. So yeah. So all right, let me let's switch to this one real quick. So basically, what I guess the quote unquote bloodbath of all of it is that they're having some layoffs at Bungie, and looks like Sony might be really kind of coming in to either get ready to take it over, or because I know they had their contract was things had to be certain margins, certain levels, certain profitability. Some people are saying that it's that the reason that they're having these layoffs is because they want to prevent Sony from being able to overtake them. Other people are saying that it's too late and Sony's already got their claws in them pretty good, and then are picking them apart because some of the team members are going to other studios to work. So, but I'm gonna start the other direction this time. Hargeet, I'm gonna start with you and see what do you think is going on, and what do you see this outcome becoming? Oh goodness, it's not quite that. It's not quite taps, is it? Oh goodness.
Look, who didn't see this coming? I guess. Look, you had this. Like, I don't know if this was all thought out or not, but they bought Bungie kind of really like fast after the ABK thing came out. Maybe they were in talks. Apparently they were in talks with Xbox. Xbox looked at the financials and said, no thanks. And boy, were they right. Bungie has had like an issue ever since they kind of left Microsoft. I don't know if it's like the executive team that kind of was handling things was better before, but what they've kind of had ever since they left has been kind of lackluster. They kind of did their own thing to create Destiny and then worked with Activision to publish it. It didn't quite work out the way Activision wanted. Activision lent them a lot of their studios to make the content, to make it work. But then eventually they severed that partnership. took the IP with them, did their own thing for a little bit, and then tried to sell to whoever, right? And eventually Sony bought them. And Jim Ryan's vision of this was, hey, this is going to help us figure out how to make live service games. And I mean, I can't really, how do you say this? Disaster. It just hasn't been good. The only game so far that's really worked is the one they already had, which was, Helldivers. They made a sequel to it. It looked cool. It went places until they mucked with that and put PSN on it. And then they didn't even end up doing it. But because of that, it's now not in the 180 countries and it's lost some of its user base. But that was their big success there. And now every one of the games that you thought that the Last of Us Faction's gone. The one that just puzzles me. They had a Marvel Spider-Man Multiverses game, and you're like, dude, that just sounds perfect. Why wouldn't you? Dude. And they cancel it, right? They had a Twisted Metal game. They canceled it. On and on. They had a military shooter. I'm gonna guess that was probably SOCOM or something. I don't know, but that's gone. I don't know what the heck they're doing. They greenlit buying Firewalk and Concord. Okay, that doesn't look like it's going places, but good luck to that team. Haven doesn't look like it's going to be much. Fair games.
What happened, Hargeet? You don't believe in the Applebee's version of Guardians of the Galaxy? You don't believe in the Applebee's version of that game, or?
The whole thing is just crazy to me. So Bungie itself started losing steam when they got bought. That's just a fact. It's just kept going downhill since then. And they haven't really picked up. The last DLC was apparently critically received well. The fans who played it liked it, but the fans kind of moved on and they kind of got annoyed with it. And that's unfortunate for them. Right? Last year they lost, was it 49% of their
it's a 10-year game.
They lost.
It's a 10-year game plus. So.
And this year, apparently, this did not do as well as they needed it to. And so they've had several rounds of layoffs to try to keep under the amount needed to keep themselves in charge. That has failed. What we're hearing, I don't know if it's official or not, is that it is now switched over from, 2 Bungie, 1 PlayStation on the board. It's now 2 PlayStation, 1 Bungie on the board. I don't know what that even means, right? Because if they change out the leadership to try to make this work, that's one thing. But they've lost some of the people that really did a lot of the story work, right? So I don't know where this goes. What is Bungie's new thing? Marathon is going to be their savior? Really? Okay. I mean, the gunplay is going to be good. Is it going to be enough though? And will they charge you to buy it, or will they just do the free to play model that they should do? Concord is making you buy it instead of free to play. This whole thing is just, Jim Ryan said that, hey, we're going to learn from the mistakes of all the other people who did this. What mistakes did you try to remedy? What did you learn? Because really, you just did everything everybody else did, but 10 times worse because you took your freaking massively awesome studios and told them go make live service games, and it failed miserably.
Yep.
So what the heck did you learn? I don't. It's very puzzling to me that this was continuing. Obviously, at this point, we have to accept Jim Ryan was fired because other people saw, what the hell are you doing to our freaking platform? And this is just ridiculous, right? You're wasting money. Bungie has not made any money for them. On top of that, you've taken the studios that everybody revered and told them to make games that are being canceled. What the hell is going on? Right? So I don't know what they're going to do to kind of fix this. Good luck to Herman to fix it, right? It's his job now to fix all this. But how do you, as J-Rock put it, how do you save the savior? Right? The point of Bungie was to tell them how to make this happen so that they could pivot from the very, very expensive cinematic games so that they can make money like Xbox has been doing, because they went and bought things like Minecraft. Oh, buying this was better than buying ABK. Sure. Really? It was? Do you see their profit margins going up massively over there on Xbox? Do you see yours going up or down? Are you kidding me? It's not even close. This was a massive fail. I don't know how they really recover from this because I don't see Marathon being the big savior either. I mean, good luck to Bungie. They have a stellar, like, I hate that I'm saying this about Bungie, who made one of my favorite franchises in Halo. But this is where they are. It is where they are. And like, sadly, I don't know that Destiny ever recovers. Destiny is no longer getting content updates in the same fashion. It's going to get smaller things. I don't know if people stay with it. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a good core does stay, but I think a lot of people are going to abandon ship and move on to the next thing because there are other games out there. Unfortunately, yes, you created a whole thing with Destiny, but other people kind of copied it, and so you kind of have to deal with that now. And so I don't know where this ends up for PlayStation, but they're in a little bit of a fun little area right now. They first have lost time on making live games with the studios that normally give you these awesome big bangers, right? That's going to slow them down on their next releases. On top of that, their big savior is not really saving anything. The games that they've shown us so far, Fair Games and Concord, don't look that good either. So I don't know where this puts them. I'm kind of sad that Bungie has become this. I think most of the good talent might have left by now, which is also bad. And, a lot of them also got laid off, right? So I will give kudos to Sony to take some of their, potential layoffs and say, no, we're going to move you over to other parts. We're creating a new little studio team. We're going to put you in other studios. That's really good. That's kudos to them for doing that. But that still just leaves Bungie at a point that I'm not sure where they're going to go. So that's kind of, I don't have a great answer to this because unfortunately there is no great answer to this. It sucks. It really sucks. Bungie got screwed by their management. In my opinion, their management has just not been good at doing what they need to do. And Sony was their savior. That's really what happened. It was the reverse. And kept them alive, and now they're just dealing with the fact that they got fleeced, and they also went and bought Firewalk on probably Bungie's freaking recommendation, and see where that goes. I don't know, man. It's a really terrible situation for them, and this is kind of the warning bells I've been ringing about PlayStation. Like, don't think they're in good shape, guys. And their big money maker is Call of Duty, which is now owned by their major platform competitor. Just keep that in mind. And look, they were like, Jim Ryan went around crying, flying, Jim Ryan, right? That this is going to kill us. He may not be wrong. If there's any shift that happens because of the fact that Call of Duty is in, it's marketed by Xbox, but also in Game Pass. If there's any shift that happens, that is going to hurt PlayStation. It just is. On top of that, they're going to put this on Nintendo. There's a contract signed. They're going to put it on Nintendo. There are players that will go there. That's just the way it is. There's going to be a new console coming. I don't know if Pro is coming or not, but Nintendo's putting a new console out.
Yep.
And people will have enthusiasm behind it. And if you can take your game with you and dock it and put it on your TV, you have an option there that people like, right? You suddenly have the ability to play Call of Duty, take it with you, and go home, dock it, and you play it in full res, whatever that you can get with the Switch, right? There is a potential there, and we'll see where this goes. You have to have something compelling to bring you here. Now, they have strong brand. They have a strong brand. PlayStation still has a strong brand, and that is something that they can bank on for a little while. Eventually, though, they're going to have to compete with showcases, right? The Nintendo showcase was pretty good for a year where they still haven't shown you their big games. And Xbox just showed you a stellar showcase.
Yeah.
What do you got, Sony? Your showcase was a fail. And that's not just from Xbox fans. That's from your fans. So you need to do something to change all that. The Jim Ryan era has been a massive fail for PlayStation.
Massive.
It's just the way it is. And like, they did one cool thing, which is they put their games on PC. That's a good thing to at least generate revenue. But boy, oh boy, did he take away all the things that like Shaun would put in. He had like all these nice like fanfare things. They had showcases with live orchestras, for Pete's sake. He greenlit games that like Jim Ryan would never even think about greenlighting, but because he just wanted games that people want to play. That's it. right? And so he understood as a gamer, this is what you need. You need to entice the customer. Jim's like, I need to entice my financial my checkbook. How do I make more money? And I say, dude, that's not how you get consumers, right? We're not enterprises here. We're consumers looking for games, and I think he just lost that in his I guess his quest to make more cash. And I go, hey, live service makes more money. Let's go after that. Like, dude, it's not easy to do that. So this is sad. It really is, but it's not unexpected. I don't think Bungie gets out of this one, right? They've been able to kind of like get out of these contracts and go on their own. I think they're kind of stuck now. I don't know what the future of Destiny is. I don't know how well Marathon will do, but we'll see. Like, good luck to them. But it doesn't look very good right now.
Yeah,
That's kind of my analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Good points all the way around. We're gonna play this this is less than 30-second, less than 60-second little clip from Colin's show, and then I'm gonna pass it to One Bad Mother and let him elaborate on his thoughts on this. But just want to play this little clip coming from a diehard Pony. Let's see.
In the red, you have lost a bunch of the talent who is gone. Now you have Sony people, because the word on the street is that, and I think what's the Giant Bomb journalist name? Why can't I think of his name?
Jeff Grubb.
Jeff Grubb. He had said something like, basically, Herman Hulst is like in charge of the team now. Now I wouldn't be surprised about that, but this is what we talked about in the beginning. What will be the purpose of an acquisition of Sony under this umbrella without Bungie's talent? Then you just have Sony running the company that they had originally purchased for their expertise. This has been a really bad deal. And people are like, yeah, give it time and they'll make that money back over the billions of dollars that they're kind of in with Sony. And it's like, yeah, that could happen. But it's, again, not that simple, because in the red.
Yeah, not that simple, is it? All right. So, OBM, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, to elaborate, it's really, really hard. It's going to be very difficult, as Colin was saying, to make the case that this was a good purchase or one that's going to work out. Usually when you're spending billions of dollars like that in gaming, especially for a company that makes a single IP, you're paying for the IP, right? That's usually because otherwise you're buying what you're buying is cost, and developers and talent can always go somewhere else. So generally what you're paying for is the IP, and it looks like Destiny is probably near the end. Now, I will say, one of the things that comes with a Bungie, I think a lot like a BGS or a Naughty Dog, there's a handful of studios in the world that when they put out a new game that they're going to get a lot of traction, like a Blizzard, because of the name of the studio that is putting the game out. And now my cat's jumping on my damn mic. So if I go out here in a second, that's because of my cat.
It's okay.
Yeah, he's hungry. So like the chances of them actually ever kind of making this make sense is probably unlikely. It's right now it's about trying to mitigate the losses and make them, as hurt as little as possible. And it's unfortunate about the employees, because they had another round of layoffs, if you remember, last year. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they talked about last year was, like, this is a company that moved, like, doubled the size of their location. They one of the reasons Microsoft passed on them was because of the high burn rate. This is a company that has not been very smart, been making very good financial decisions in general. They have a lot of projects that have been, they've had other projects that have been in the works that have been canceled. So like when you continue to have those types of things, those are churning money as well. And I obviously that those are things that they felt they needed to do because they needed to diversify. I think they knew that they could not rely on Destiny forever. But it's like one of those things too, where you start to spread yourself so thin, because we can see, like, with a game like Destiny, one of the challenges that game had was expanding its base. And you kind of wonder when you have a company that's having a very difficult time growing the base of its game, if that's really the company that's going to lead the rest of your studios to success, right? Because Destiny hit back in 2013, 2014, really more in 2014 with Taken King, they really found something. They found something at a time in the industry when black hole games were not prevalent, right? They didn't dominate the top of the charts every year. There's something like there. I used to have discussions with friends. Who's like, as somebody who was a Halo fanboy, who was really really disappointed with the fact they released when they did and didn't delay that game. I had friends that would basically point to Destiny and say, hey, look at how that game bounced back. With Taken King, and it's like, I think one of the things we've learned is that the industry is very, very different from what it was at that particular time. And, the way that game was able to find an audience later, a year later, is just something that is very difficult to do these days because of the competition, because there's really just not a lot of breathing room. There's not a lot of bandwidth really in the market right now to keep adding these games. And so the fact that they've struggled to, they had that traction and they couldn't grow it. A lot of that feels like some of it felt like it was self-inflicted, or they didn't invest enough time or effort or just gain the know-how to do that. I tried Destiny 2 a few times and I thought it was really fun. I think the gunplay is excellent. And Bungie's now made, they also obviously created my favorite franchise of all time in Halo. So, obviously I have a leaning towards Bungie and their gunplay. But the thing I struggled with was the onboarding. And the few times I would go back and I'd play with some friends and get going, and then it was struggled to kind of know where to go, what's going on. And they've never really learned how to bring in the new players. And that's the difference between them and like a Fortnite or a Call of Duty, which are, pick up and play. You can jump in, they can keep building on top of their base, right? Destiny is a lot more complex in terms of its game design, and it's just it isn't something they ever really figured out how to streamline. So now I kind of, where Sony is at right now, I do think it does put them in a little bit of a precarious spot. I don't think it means a precarious spot for PlayStation. As I said earlier, like I think the consoles, the boxes are kind of locked in with who they have. Hargeet, it's the one thing I will disagree with you. I don't think any Call of Duty players will probably move over to Switch, not permanently. Maybe they'll get it as a side piece, but I think they're locked in. But the challenge they had, and the reason they bought Bungie, is because they know where the industry's gone recently. They see where things are going. I think they realized they needed to expand beyond just the narrative-driven game if they want to put themselves in a good position for the paradigm shifts, for gaming everywhere, just for the way new generations of gamers are. Like the narrative-driven single-player experience does not really resonate with the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, as far as we've been told and understand. And you can kind of see that in the numbers. And so they, I think it was the right intention. Maybe it was the right strategy, just probably the poor execution, and probably got a little bit desperate because when Microsoft bought the biggest publisher when it comes to this stuff in the world, they felt like they needed to do something as well as one of the other big guns in the industry. So clearly this hasn't worked. I don't know that the answer is necessarily like, hey, we're going to give up on gas games, because I think, for major publishers, if you don't have some reoccurring monthly revenue that's predictable, that comes in every month, you put yourself in a really difficult position year over year, right? It's a lot more risky as a business, and you kind of need that for diversification. So I do hope that Bungie can turn this around. I don't know that, like I said, I don't expect that they're going to ever be worth almost $4 billion, especially with part of that cost what was to retain talent, supposedly. So because they were supposed to help them get the other games off the ground. But even if they don't end up being worth $4 billion, I do hope that, hopefully as they go all in on Marathon and they can make it something, right? Make it something significant and continue to be a company that can regain their footing and maybe build back up over time. So that's kind of my general thoughts on it. So obviously, it looks like a very poor financial decision, and I wouldn't be very surprised if that was the reason Jim's not there. But hopefully Bungie does, get its footing again.
Yeah, I agree. I hope they do, but time will tell. John Wolf, what is
Yes,
up,
sir.
buddy? Give me your thoughts, your insight. What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I think that Hargeet and OBM really did a good job of kind of explaining the business aspect of it. I'll take the approach of of just the gamer side of it. It absolutely sucks that it potentially one of the greatest first person shooter makers can potentially not be here tomorrow because of the way they've been managed and just because of just the nature of the business, right? That really sucks. If it, I think we can all say that if it wasn't for Bungie, first person shooters wouldn't even be a thing on consoles, right? Because they kind of set the groundwork when it came to Halo Combat Evolved and showing that first person shooters can be done on console. And from there it's been, we know the history from there. So it sucks as a gamer to see that this is happening. Secondly, for the employees affected there, I can't imagine what they must be going through. Just a major letdown of having such a successful franchise and such a promising future, and it just being taken away like that. So I feel for them. I have empathy for them, and I hope that they either get hired by the other side of Sony, or they find somewhere to kind of show their talents, right? So in looking in looking at what happened here, this is absolutely 100% a failure on PlayStation's part. Okay, 100% failure. And many can argue maybe they were doomed from the start. I think that with what we know today and with the results that we're seeing, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback and say yes, it does look like it's going to be an all-out failure. But I firmly believe that the ABK deal made Jim Ryan desperate, and he overpaid for Bungie. I don't think that's a secret. I don't think that anybody would be shocked to hear that or to have to believe that, because just even when you heard that they were being purchased, the promise here, right? The promise that I kept on hearing on podcasts and the justification for this purchase was that they were going to help PlayStation with their live service initiatives. And look, we fast forward to today where we are at, and their first foray into this thing with Concord, which is really their second, not their first, because Helldivers was a success until things happened there that they're trying to pivot or whatever the case may be, shot themselves in the foot. But when you look at Concord, the product, right, it's a game that should have worked maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. That's a game that maybe would have worked 3 or 5 years ago, right? But we fast forward to 2024, where the market is dominated by all of these games that people just can't get away from. And you don't have strong characters and a strong IP to drive players away from the Call of Duties of the world, from the from the Fortnites of the world, from the Overwatches of the world. You need strong IPs, strong proven IPs to do that. So what, in my head, as a gamer, what would take me away from playing Call of Duty to play Marvel Rivals? The fact that I love Marvel. That's a strong library. That's a strong catalog of IP and characters that will drive me away. The Temu version of Guardians is not going to do that. I'm sorry. And it's not a knock on the game Concord, because I played it. I played it for all of an hour and 10 minutes in that beta to at least give it a try and say, hey, I tried out the game and these are my thoughts on it. It's a solid game, but it's not gonna move players. There's nothing enticing about that game. And I said that to in our kind of private DM that we have when Sony revealed this thing back in their showcase. I have always, because that's the way I think with my gamer hat. Do I want to play this or not? From day one, I saw that trailer and I said, why are they trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy? It's not going to work. You're not going to be better than the actual Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not going to happen. You got to do your own thing, or you got to bring a strong, proven IP that has ties to it, that has, that can get its grip on people. For example, how is there not a SOCOM game? What are we doing here, guys? Killzone has history. Resistance has a history. Like, for them not to leverage those type of IPs, Twisted Metal, IPs like that have, that have history with gamers, and trying to leverage whatever live service initiative that they're going for, is shocking to me. And that right there is the lack of, I guess you can say, gamer knowledge that Jim Ryan didn't have, that we would hope that someone in the boardroom or someone, close to him would have told him. I would think that Herman Hulst would have told him, hey, buddy, why instead of this Concord game, I don't know about this. How about SOCOM? That's proven. People have been wanting that. That moved a lot of units for the PlayStation brand. And it's just these bonehead decisions are now leading to Bungie being just this wasted opportunity for PlayStation as a whole. And on top of that, with all the rumors and the rumblings that you hear that they shot down factions, and because they kind of they educated Naughty Dog on the type of studio that they would need to turn into if they really wanted to support a game like Factions, and it scared them. It completely scared Naughty Dog into saying, whoa, we don't want to do that. That's not the type of studio that we want to be, right? But that game was all but done. And the potential of that game is something that, for me as a gamer, had me excited, and it would have pulled me away from the Call of Duties of the world. But again, they decided to say, you know what? No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go in that direction. We're going to do Concord and fair games, reindeer games, whatever the game. But at the end of the day, that looks like, again, another generic ass shooter with generic ass characters that I don't think is going to be appealing. Now, I could be wrong. Hey, it could be a success. You can come back and you can say, hey, John Wolf, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. That's fine. I take L's every day. But me as a gamer, I'm looking at the product. There's nothing exciting about it. I'm sorry, there's not. There's nothing like. There's a reason why Concord, nobody wanted to play the beta. There's a reason for that, because the game doesn't look good. It's as simple as that. When something looks great, people are going to jump on it. Look at Marvel Rivals. It looks awesome. And on top of that, it has this strong IP tied to it that people have loved Marvel since the 60s. And, since they grew up like me, since I was an 80s baby and I grew up reading all these comics and stuff, and I see Storm flying around and Hulk doing all this cool shit, and I want to play that. But, you gotta meet players where they want to be and excite them in a way that I thought that PlayStation was good at that. That's always been their forte. So the weird thing is that all of a sudden they're in a flux here with Bungie, where Bungie is saying, hey, cancel this, cancel that, cancel this. That doesn't look good. This is not going to make it as a live service game. But then they okayed Concord. Okay, I mean, these guys are supposed to be your experts and supposed to have the eye, and kudos to them. I'm not trying to knock their success. Bungie, very successful in everything they have done, right? Except manage themselves. That's always where they've failed. That is their Achilles heel. And then the thing is, just to end it here, WEBDAVE, it kind of bothers me, man, that this studio might go away. It kind of does, because again, I have enjoyed Bungie games my whole life, and and the thing is that Bungie is one of those developers that you knew that when they were working on something or something's going to come out and it has that Bungie name behind it, something that you look forward to. It's an event as a gamer. And now with their next game coming out, what's the name of it again? I'm sorry, guys, I'm blanking out on the name of
Marathon.
Marathon. Again, look, it's falling into that bucket of generic ass shit. That trailer did nothing for me. Also, I'm sorry, it didn't. So I don't know if maybe Bungie, if maybe they're just not good anymore. Maybe time has passed them. I don't know. And their eye for what players want may not be too sharp after all. That's all I'll say.
All right. Anybody else got any more comments they want to throw on the subject? Anybody? No? All right. OBM shakes his head. That's a first. My God. I'm just kidding. I'm
I
just
was looking
kidding.
at the time. I'm trying to be respectful.
No, dude. Awesome. I thought everybody had some really great points tonight, some great comments, and I really appreciate everybody jumping here and jumping out and talking to us tonight. It's good having everybody here, and the chat was super awesome, man. So there we go, guys. Thank you all so much for being here, and we're gonna go around the horn and get everybody's outros. We'll start with One Bad Mother. Please tell everybody where they can find you, where they can reach you, and where they can reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me, Mr. Dave. It was great seeing everybody and getting a chance to talk to you and get warmed up for the work week that, like I said, is a few hours away. So, but if anybody wants to follow me, I'm on Twitter, I'm going to still call it Twitter. Not going to let Elon win. At Mutha_1, MUTHA_ONE. So look me up there. And other than that, man, I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming up here soon. So I am looking forward to actually diving into some of the games we'll see here with Gamescom coming up, and I think we're going to have a really good fall. So I do look forward to being back to getting the chance to dive into some of that stuff.
Oh, dude, you have an open invitation. So if something just comes up and you want to talk, you can just reach out to me and be like, hey man, can I come on? It's gonna happen. So you're more than welcome anytime you want to. Love having you on, and yeah, so definitely we're gonna have you back on soon. So be ready for the invite. It's coming. No worries. John Wolf, the Wolf Man. Please tell everybody where they can find you, where your shows are, and where they can reach out to you on social media.
Oh, thanks, WebDave. First of all, I want to thank you, man, for sending me over the invite and me,
of course,
being a guest on the show. Hargeet, thank you too, because from what I understand, you're filling in on co-host duties here. So thank you both for having me. OBM, I see your thoughts on a daily basis, almost, man. And like I said, I always appreciate them, take them in and just digest them and see, whether we agree or disagree, man. It's always a great conversation. And Mondays, Gamers Playground, I'll be there with Kay Asante. Tomorrow, we are on shaky legs right now because there's stuff going on both of our sides. Kay Asante right now is traveling. I have work stuff that is kind of piling up here, and something's got to get right. So I'm not sure about a show tomorrow, but we'll definitely be back next week, 100% sure. Yeah. And guys, thank you so much. Gamers Playground on my channel, John Wolf. Hit me up on X, on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, all the, everything. I'm not going to give you my Switch social security number, but you can hit me up anywhere you play games.
That's okay. We know it already. Just kidding. Whoops. Hit my alarm there. Dude, it's awesome having you on. And I do appreciate you coming on and your insights as well. And then of course we have the one and only the man who has no bounds because he is everywhere. And please tell everybody, because it's going to be a minute. Everybody sit back and relax. I'm just kidding. But Hargeet Chani, please tell everybody where they can find you, what show you're going to be on, and you're not on social media, but you are on Discord, and we do have that in the link below. So if you want to reach out and talk to Hargeet, just hit him up on Discord. He replies back. He's pretty good about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's H Chani on Discord. If you want to reach out, go ahead. My YouTube channel is Hargeet Chani 1. You can go ahead and subscribe there if you want. And then if you want to pick up my book, it's still in the background here. It's Emergence. It's a sci-fi novel. Shop.johnny.us. Check it out if you want to. And yeah, the next one I think is just going to be it's Booms on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So check that out, Double Barrel Gaming, and then hopefully we're back for Games Talk Live. Fonz was out on a family trip, so we should be. He was still kind of in the middle of getting things all settled when he came back on last week's episode. So we just skipped it, and then so hopefully this week we'll be back. And that'll be 10 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Fonz Gaming's channel for Games Talk Live. So check those out.
There you go, buddy. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. More than you know, he's helped. He stepped up in the last couple of weeks and been on quite a bit. And it's good having an anchor, somebody that's can rely on to help out. So thank you, Hargeet. It's very blessed to have you show up and hang out with me. If everybody gets a chance,
thanks, John, and thanks OBM for joining.
Exactly.
No problem, guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, dude, you guys are always welcome, and I mean that. Like I said, I hate sometimes to ask them. I feel like, ooh, if I ask them too much, but it's like, I'm gonna ask. So because, like I said, I love having you guys on. If I could have like 20 people on at one time, I would do it. But then it gets crazy and mass hysteria, and we wouldn't get anything done. But you have a few guests on at a time. It's good to get different viewpoints and everything. So thank you to that, and thanks to we're going almost 400 people here, either on X or on YouTube tonight, watching us live. Plus, this will be on a replay as well as also on SoundCloud and iHeartRadio and a few other where you can reach out and on iTunes as well. So if you want to just listen to the show again, you definitely can do that. That's what I do. I just listen when I walk around doing my work, as it were. But yeah, so if you get a chance though, and you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 3K. We're we're just right at around 100 away from getting at 3K subscribers on YouTube. So we appreciate that. We're also going to send everybody over. If you want to, just stick around on YouTube, and automatically going to kick you over to Pixelated Echoes. That is 3-Bit and Fuzzy Belvedere over there broadcasting live. So it'll take you right there to their chat. And if you want to, tell them they've been rated by the Gamers Council. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us here on the Gamers Council.